This is Dubai Eye 103.8.
Message us for free. Download the Dubai Eye 103.8 app now.
Welcome back to the show. It is day 3 of the DP World Tour Championship down here at a blustery Jumeirah Golf Estates. It is myself, Chris McCarty, Robbie Greenfield, and we've just been joined as well by the head honcho. This is a man not to be messed with, Robbie.
Certainly not. The Chief Executive of the European Tour is alongside us, Mr. Keith Pelley. 12 months ago, we were lucky enough to catch up with you. Very grateful and thankful that you've come back. You obviously just about tolerated us 12 months ago, and you're willing to chat to us again.
I said I would come back, and I apologize because I forgot to grow the beard.
Yes.
Right. So next year
we haven't shaved since we last saw you.
And I think you're doing this on. I know we're live on radio, but you're also recording this.
We are.
Here, and I think you're doing that just because you guys tower over me.
We are tall individuals.
You have beards and you're very tall, so you're very intimidating.
I am.
So make the questions really nice.
We will play softball with you for the first half of this interview, Keith, and then we'll ask a couple of tough ones.
Okay, fine.
We do it proper. Fine. But listen, let's start with this tournament. 10th year of it. It's come a long way. We've been talking to an awful lot of individuals who have been here since day one. This man included. Robbie Greenfield has been here.
I'm waiting for my certificate.
2009. It's come a long way, hasn't it?
Oh, well, I wasn't here in 2009, but even it's come a long way in the last 3 years that I've been here. This is my 4th DP World Tour Championship, and it just grows. And Sheikh Zayed, who came to the event today, and I've gotten to know over the last couple of years, this is the first time that he's been to the event. I think he was absolutely so pleased with the crowd on the first tee. And I went, yeah. And I looked around, I went, yeah, every year it just grows and grows and grows. And it's a spectacular place to have our final event of the year in the Race to Dubai.
Is it luck that quite often the same man who has won the DP World Tour Championship has won the Race to Dubai? Because if we compare it to our friends over the pond at the FedEx Cup, you're scratching your head thinking, who on earth needs what in the final few weeks of those tournaments? Here, there's often a clarity. There's often a head-to-head clash. Often a Henrik or a Rory Mcilroy actually win the tournament and go ahead and win the Race to Dubai. Is that just pure luck, or is there some grand design there, Keith?
No, I don't know if it's a grand design. I think it's a challenge. It's a challenge to find out how you can really have 2 tournaments within one. You have the tournament here of the DP World Tour Championship, and you have the tournament of the Race to Dubai. And to keep that narrative going is and telling both stories is constant communication and constant challenge for all the broadcasters. And what's really good and what's really fortunate for us is we now have changed the arrangement, and we actually control our world feed. And we produce our world feed, and we brought a gentleman in who is 20 years in charge of broadcasting at the PGA Tour, Stu Nickel, and he is reinforcing those storylines all weekend long. So hopefully the communication is very easy.
Yeah, it was one thing we touched on 12 months ago with you. I think the European Tour now, and I truly mean this, not just that you're stood in front of me, European Tour social media wise, what you're doing on digital, you really are trailblazers in that regard. We were talking with Thomas Bjorn a little earlier with what happened the morning after, the night before, with Tommy Fleetwood and Francesco Molinari in bed with the Ryder Cup. I mean, you guys really are pushing the envelope with that regard.
Well, and that's an incredible video. And to be totally honest with you, I remember waking up after the Ryder Cup, seeing that video, because I did not know about that video because it was shot.
Going viral.
It was shot in the middle of the night. And what that tells me is people now have the freedom to, and the culture is now there that we're an entertainment company, and we also then have our people in terms of the social content team have the trust of the players, because you can't create that video without an incredible trust of both Francesco and Tommy, incredible creativity, and then to have the wherewithal to execute it at the middle of the night. It was one of the most pleased I've been since I've been to the tour. It was a really proud moment to see that video happened, and it was just spectacular.
We were just speaking off air about the Ryder Cup, bigger than ever, Keith, in terms of its reach, in terms of its excitement levels and the interest in it. You were there at Le Golf National. I mean, trying to put it into words, not only the European performance, which was astonishing, I think one of the strongest American teams ever assembled, and they blew them away, but just the size of that event, the amount now that it gets out of the box of golf, golf, and it touches so many other people.
Yeah, 270,000 people from 90 countries. A reach of just under 1 billion.
Wow.
In our electronic media platforms. It was more than I could ever imagine. It was, I think, one of the things that we did really well this year is, outside of obviously the team performance, which was incredible, and the camaraderie that we had in the team room was a testament to our players and our captains and our vice captains. But we really put the consumer at the start of everything that we did, and we made some mistakes, and we'll get better in Rome for sure. But the video boards that we produced around the golf course was a game changer for us. We had 20 massive video boards that were all around Le Golf National, and that became a place where people galvanized, and they could watch the live action come in, but then they would all just stay in that particular area and watch the video screen. And it was an electrifying atmosphere, and it was an opportunity for our sport to be tribal, which isn't something that we are week in and week out. And
Absolutely.
the camaraderie that we had inside the locker room was magical. And to be part of it, I can tell you guys, I've been part of a lot of events. It was, it was easy to smile.
Undoubtedly the highlight of the European Tour year. Now then, Keith, we've softballed you
Those were the softballs?
a little bit.
All right.
We're going to throw
Let's
some.
get in and
We're going to
talk.
throw some bouncers up at chin level.
Fine.
Give me your appraisal of the year and the challenges that you and the team continue to face then moving forward.
Well, I think we've had an excellent year, but again, it comes right back to what the pinnacle of the year was, and what our number one objective was at the beginning of the year was to execute a Ryder Cup and to make it the biggest Ryder Cup in the history. And we passed all our metrics that we had in our business plan, and then obviously winning it was critical. I just saw Thomas Bjorn again in our players lounge, and then into the hospitality lounge. He's a true celebrity, a true hero, and how we capitalize and how we build on that is what we're going to try to do in 2019. But it starts, every conversation with 2018 starts and ends with the Ryder Cup. And it was something that I was really, really incredibly proud of our entire staff, who all got behind it and got involved in it.
Rory Mcilroy has made the headlines this week. He's been a player much discussed in the media centre for the comments that he made earlier about only signing up at this point in time to 2 pure European Tour events. I think the Amiga Switzerland Masters, and either the Scottish or the Irish Open are in his schedule at the moment. Now, of course, that may change, and he's been questioned further on that. But what's your reaction to that? Have you had a conversation with Rory? Have you got a take on whether he ought to have a kind of almost an obligation to support the European Tour?
No, I look at it a little bit differently, and you're the first that's asked me that question, because I've been a little busy in the Players Lounge over the last couple of days. But no, I look at it, yes, I've had the conversations with Rory, and the way that I look at it is our players are world-class players, and I always focus on who is at our tournaments, and it is a privilege for any time that Rory plays in any one of our tournaments. It's a great celebration. He's an iconic player, a massive global celebrity, not just in golf and in sport, but he is a celebrity, and we have very few world-class celebrities like Rory. And right now, Rory is not playing at the level that he would like to play and is accustomed to playing. And my comments to Rory is, you do everything you possibly can to get back to where you want to be in the world of professional golf, and that is number one, and winning majors, and the rest will take care of itself. So people worry about where he's playing, where he's not playing. You just said at the moment.
Yeah.
And so at the moment, I want Rory to get back to playing at the best level he possibly can be, and I'll do everything I can to support him in doing that.
You've always been very forthright with your views, Keith. I was interested to read a couple of weeks ago, again, the World Tour. It's a conversation that crops up, and you said, listen, conversations will always be had. We're always open to the game evolving. World Tour, in your opinion, I mean, is that something that is on the agenda? You see it being inevitable? I'm maybe not talking the short term, but in the long term?
Well, I think the conversations are happening everywhere. right? And that's okay, because conversation should happen, and every business should look at how they evolve and how they improve. And consolidation in businesses is happening everywhere now. Businesses are globalizing everywhere. So it starts and ends with what is the best for our respective memberships, both at the PGA Tour and at the European Tour, and what is best for global golf. And if that means eventually some type of consolidation or some type of world tour, then we owe it to ourselves to look at that. And our players would want us to look at that. But again, that is we're in the infancy stages of evaluating whether those that a world tour is something that we can have serious conversations about. Whether it is reality down the road, that's still to be seen. But right now, we're focusing on building our tour and getting better and better every year. And I think 2019 will be a great year for us in a schedule that is completely different. And we've had to adapt our schedule based on what has happened globally. And whether that ever comes together, we'll see down the road, but we're not afraid of having those conversations.
Keen to get your thoughts as well, Keith, on a big event taking place in the US over Thanksgiving weekend. It's been received, certainly Rory had his comments on it, the match between Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. He said, Rory, that it had come maybe 15 years too late. But as an idea, as something different to bring the world of golf, and I know they've got all sorts of plans to really make this an entertaining spectacle, more of a dramatic television production than a golf match per se. What was your take on that? And is it something that you believe could have legs, could have a place in golf and entertainment as it goes forward?
Well, I haven't given it a lot of thought, to be honest. But my one comment would be, if in fact that can bring a new audience or engage a different audience to our game, and and I don't know what their television plans are, whether they're all wearing mics or super slow-mos everywhere, and what it's going to be in terms of a different television telecast. If in fact, it can bring some new people to the game, then why not try it? I don't know enough about it, and I haven't been involved in any conversations regarding it, but I'm a supporter of trying things. And if it works, fantastic. And if it doesn't work, try something different.
I want to take you back. We've been talking about the European Tour. Great storytellers, certainly have been since you took charge, certainly on social and digital. Rory Mcilroy, whether he plays or doesn't, that's by the by. One thing that I've taken away from this tournament, Keith, is you look at the leaderboard. Matt Wallace, you've got Jordan Smith up there, Adrian Ortega. We're talking about the European Challenge Tour here. There are young boys coming through that show the talent, the deep talent that is in the European Tour, and that must make you as proud as anything else that you're currently doing on the European Tour.
Yeah, you just mentioned it. 3 guys that have come through the Challenge Tour were leading earlier today when I looked at the leaderboard. But when you think about it, in 2000, Lee Westwood was the only Englishman in the top 100. There's currently 11.
Wow.
Right? Or 12. Right? And or 11. And with Danny Willett starting to play like he's playing, it will soon be a dozen. It's incredible. You talk about Matt Wallace, unbelievable player, Adrian Ortega, Jordan Smith, 3 young guys competing here with the icons of the game. It's the game right now is healthy, and if we can showcase these personalities, we talked about our short form content that we're trying to produce. We produced a great piece on the Q2 this week that we released just this morning, and again it showed the personalities, showed Francesco Molinari in a completely different light. And you've got a great kid in Matt Wallace, you got a great young player in Jordan Smith and Adrian Ortega. Those were the 3 you mentioned, and we can go on and on. We can talk about Eddie Pepperell, we can keep going, we can talk about the up and coming English
Sam Horsfield as well.
Sam Horsfield, Jigger Thompson. I could mention them all, and I apologize for some that I haven't mentioned, but they are the future of our game, and it's fantastic to watch them start to play at the highest levels.
And yet, on the other half of the coin, last week in South Africa, Lee Westwood, probably by his own admission, maybe started to doubt whether he'd ever win again on tour. You saw the emotion as well in his Sky interview after that win. I mean, that was an incredible story in itself. 45 years of age, and he's managed to turn back the clocks and get another win.
Yeah, but what was amazing about that is who he had on the bag, his girlfriend Helen.
Right.
And it was really interesting because in the players' lounge this morning, I was having a coffee and I'm just standing up chatting to him while he's sitting down, and he's working on his book. You know, his green book, and he's really doing all the yardages himself. And I said, wow, you really enjoying doing it? He goes, I do. In fact, it now keeps my mind off something other than just hitting shots. And you know, he had his son on the bag as his caddy in Valderrama 2 weeks ago, and then he had or 3 weeks ago. Then he had Helen on his bag in South Africa as his caddy. He's a true legend. I call him an FC future captain.
Yeah, of
Hey,
course.
certainly is.
Without doubt.
There's no question.
Maybe the next future captain.
He is great to see, and I was so happy for him last week. And it was interesting because I was watching with Gary Player. We were sitting there just watching, and I said to Gary, you know how many different countries he's won in, Lee? 19 different countries. Gary's won in 13, and
oh, wow.
and Tiger's won in 10. But he's won in 19 different countries.
You found a stat that Gary Player isn't leading in.
He is a true global player. Now he's won 43 times. I think Gary's won 165 times. 165 times. But he is a great legend, and it was great to see.
Last one from us, Keith. I know you're a busy man, but I've got to ask as well, a bit of a personal one this, but it has been a 3-year journey for you. You still enjoying it? You still waking up with a pep in your step? You still feel that obviously it's trending in the right direction, but you've still got the same kind of gusto for it and the same kind of appetite for moving the game forward for the European Tour?
Yeah, no question. We have so many challenges in front of us, but challenges leads to opportunities, and I think I've learned a lot in the last 3 years.
Just on that then, what's the biggest lesson you've learned?
The biggest lesson I've learned, how important the quality of the golf course is to the player's decision on whether they play.
Wow.
And quite honestly, one of the most unenjoyable experiences is walking into the player lounge if the golf course isn't in great shape. And one of the best experiences is walking into the player lounge when the golf course is in terrific shape. So I guess there's lots of things that I've learned. I've learned that the players are open for change, but at the same time, the need for 72-hole tournaments is still critical, especially for the players who believe, and week in and week out, it's true, that after 72 holes, the top players rise up.
And that happens at this.
It certainly does.
So that's why they love 72 holes.
That is the voice of the European Tour Chief Executive, Keith Pelley. Bless you, my man. You're always very accommodating with your time for us. We do sincerely appreciate it. It is, as we say in Scotland, blowing a hoolie up here on our rooftop terrace.
Blowing a what?
And blowing a hoolie.
Blowing a hoolie.
I'll give you the definition of that once we're all fair. But listen, a big thanks to Keith Pelley. Always great with his time. And thank you, Keith. Keep up the great work. And we look forward to catching up with you again in 12 months' time.
Thanks, guys.
This is Dubai Eye 103.8.
Message us for free. Download the Dubai Eye 103.8 app now.